navigating the digital jungle with Sue Atkins and friends.
Welcome back to Navigating the Digital Jungle with Sue Atkins and friends, where we help families find their way in the ever-evolving landscape of technology. I'm Sue Atkins, your guide on this journey, author and broadcaster, and I'm here today with Angeline Corvaglia, creative data girl and friends, empowering young minds with online safety and AI literacy videos, games and educational materials. So we're going to focus today on the Metaverse. This is a groundbreaking digital space, merging virtual reality, augmented reality, and the internet. And we'll discuss Meta's involvement, VR gaming on Horizon Worlds, and how parents can prepare children for this immersive virtual world. And we're diving into a fascinating topic that impacts every family in our exploration of the Metaverse. It's a really new frontier in the digital landscape. So we'll be looking at what it is, how it will affect your family, and most importantly, how can you as parents navigate this world safely and confidently? So welcome today. Hello, Angie. How are you?
Good, thank you. I'm looking forward to talking about the Metaverse.
Oh, good. I'm glad you know more about it maybe than I even do.
I'm not sure that I do, but I've spoken to a lot of parents about it, and obviously with my focus on AI, it fits. So
Yeah, absolutely. So let's jump in a little bit and I'll explain what the Metaverse is. It's a giant digital universe where people and kids can meet, work, play, and shop using virtual or augmented reality. So think of it as an internet that you can sort of step into, where you can explore virtual worlds, attend events, hang out with your friends, or even build and own digital spaces. Now, some examples include gaming platforms like Fortnite or Roblox, virtual workspaces, or even virtual shopping malls. Now, companies like Meta, formerly known as Facebook, are working to make it a place where we can do almost anything online, but in 3D. Of course, it's still developing and it's still shaping up to be the next big way we connect and experience the digital world. It sounds futuristic, really, doesn't it? But it's very much becoming a reality. So let's take a look at what it is. It's an incredible opportunity, as I've said, for creativity, for learning and socialization. But it also raises concerns about screen time, blurring of lines between reality and virtual worlds, and the potential for exposure to inappropriate content, because parents need to be mindful of these aspects and guide their children through the new digital environment. Now, the Metaverse is rapidly evolving, with major tech companies investing billions into its development. So from virtual reality games to entire digital economies. And the Metaverse is set to revolutionize how we interact online. But as always, with this evolution comes the need for parents to stay informed and proactive. And in my experience, most of us don't really know what's happening like that online. And some of us, even if we do, put our heads in the sand. But it's not a passing trend. It's here to stay. And it's going to play a significant role in our digital lives. So let's look at Horizon Worlds.
Horizon Worlds is a social virtual reality, so a VR platform, as we usually say, developed by Meta, where users can create, explore, and interact in immersive 3D environments, like you said. In the world, everyone has basically their own avatar, which is basically either a copy of yourself or it looks different however you want to look in the Metaverse. And they can interact with others, basically play games, attend events, build custom worlds. I've even personally seen one where people have whole meetings. There's meeting rooms in it and just socialize basically online. This can obviously encourage creativity and connection and experience this new world, but there's a lot of risk. Obviously, I'm very focused on risk. I'm also, as I'll talk later, very focused on meta and privacy. So yeah, these are things we definitely need to think about and talk about.
Well, Oculus is the next thing as well. Again, it's part of Meta. It's a brand of virtual reality, VR, because there's all these different things, but that's a VR headset. And that allows you to immerse yourself in the digital environment. So through Oculus devices, parents and children, of course, can experience interactive games, educational programs, and social activities, as we said, in the 3D space, which can feel incredibly lifelike. And while it offers fun and engagement and great content, I want parents to understand the potential for screen time that means and to ensure that your children are safely using it and using it in moderation. So, what are the potential dangers, Angie?
I'm going to start with one that maybe people haven't thought of, but I know someone personally
Yeah.
who had this happen. A person my age, I learned that his son had broken his arm. He broke the bones, like straight through the bones. And he was actually in the metaverse playing some kind of game.
Oh
And he
my
was standing
God.
next to a pylon, and he just put his arm, boom. And he was so into the game, he didn't realize and just broke it straight through. So there are also physical risks of being in the metaverse if you aren't aware of your surroundings, because you really get completely
God, immersed and engaged
stuck
in
in
it.
it. Yeah, it was
Totally, yeah.
amazing. Yeah, it was really, that's
Wow.
one thing maybe you don't think of that. And obviously, it's something I believe will come up in a few episodes. Same concept as with the AI chatbots.
Yes.
That AI has advanced quite a bit and it can seem very real. And there are also a lot of techniques that are built into these AI, and basically in the metaverse, it's kind of 3D. So even more to make it seem real. And also not only that,
Yes.
they also want to bring connection, and obviously people can hide behind these avatars.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of risks and there's a lot of responsibility that kids have being there.
Well, for me, like you're saying, because it's so realistic, if there starts to be cyberbullying, it feels even more real, doesn't
Yeah.
it, than even from a awful text message or something. So that's why I think even there, parents need to think about that. And also think about, young brains are developing and they can't really tell sometimes the difference between reality and metaverse reality. So that's going to be a big deal for some children. So you've got to guide them about their age and maturity as well around it. I know the platform says it's usually 13 years and older, but we know what kids are like. And we also know what they're doing to get in behind all of this stuff. And also we want parents to be that extra buffer, that extra protection around some of this stuff for me. Because I think some of the stuff they might even be encountering is feeling very real and very unsettling. So I think we need to be ready for it, don't we?
Yeah, exactly. Honestly, I think 13 years is too young for this.
I know.
That said,
Yeah.
I don't have real experience with this. I did recently speak to a parent who does have real experience with it, with kids that are actually younger than 13. I don't know, it's the metaverse, but like the VR, the virtual reality. And with her younger kids, she's kind of solved it that they have to be in a room together when the younger
Right.
kids go into the virtual reality, that they're in the room. She can hear everything that's happening. And this is definitely something that I said, yes, obviously, if you believe that you can prepare your kids for it. And I just would say be in the same room.
I think that's a great, simple, and easy tip to remember that you are around. It's a bit like when my kids were having parties when they were about 16. And, they wanted independence and freedom and all that. But we were actually in the kitchen. They were in another room having a great time. But we were there should anything kind of go wrong or they needed support. So I think what you've just said there is such a good idea, just to be there, certainly as they're learning it and you're getting the hang of it and protecting them. Because as you say, if you're only 13, quite a lot can go wrong. And sometimes you're really involved in it. You don't see the dangers. So I think that's a simple and brilliant tip. I mean, for me, preventing underage access is actually really important. I think you do need in this particular metaverse to enforce these age limits strictly at home. I come off the fence on some of this stuff now. I've read around it so much, watched so many things, interact with so many experts around it. some of these things are so important. And one of the important things that I talk about and I've written about and it'll be in the show notes is using parental controls. Now, kids don't like you calling them parental controls. That's the whole nature of teens and young people, to get round them, because you feel as if you're being controlled by your parent and you think, oh, I'm 14 now, I don't need mum to be keeping an eye on me. But call them safety settings. And I wrote some blogs around it. And one of them is why safety settings is better than parental controls for discussing online boundaries with your children. That's on navigating the digital jungle in a blog. And another one is about how parental controls can keep your kids safe and why they are important. If you know why they're important, you'll go, I need to step up and learn this. Loads of parents go, well, I don't know, I don't like tech and I don't like sort of exploring some of that stuff. You have to, certainly with Metaverse and things like that. But one of the most important things we always say on this podcast is to have conversations with your children about why these restrictions exist, because they're there to protect them. I've just done a new social media post around a 4x4 car. And as I'm always saying, you don't give the keys to your 4x4 that's bright, new and shiny and sitting in your drive to your 10-year-old and say, off you go and drive that now on your own. They haven't passed their test. They haven't been prepared for the road. They don't understand the dangers. Same analogy for going into the metaverse. Got to protect them because they won't see the dangers. They'll only see the fun. So, anything else, Angie, you want to add around preparing children and families for the metaverse?
No, I just wanted to add that obviously a lot of people listening to this will feel a little bit overwhelmed. I try to test things out. This is a barrier where I don't know when I'm going to cross it to test it out. But just to point out that you don't have to be overwhelmed. You can just take resources and learn them together. You can
Yes.
read about these things together. When your child wants to go into the metaverse, then say, okay, I want to go too.
With
I
you.
want to check it out. Just really learn together. You don't have to have all the answers.
Yeah.
It can be quite powerful. I just wanted to say that's something, if you're not ready, then it's okay not to be ready. But as you said, you have to take the steps.
And be curious and be
Yeah, be
interested.
curious, ask questions.
Yeah, that's it. And I think really for me, it's safety basics, you know them, including that privacy setting business and the dangers of interacting with strangers. Because what we need, and I think it's the superpower of 2025, is to try and teach children that critical thinking is essential. And as a parent, if that's what you make one of your goals, I've got a challenge coming up on navigating the digital jungle for 2025. And one of them is how can we then help kids discern, in the metaverse in particular, what is real and what might be misleading or harmful in these virtual environments. They won't see it, they'll just see the fun. We need to think about, as parents, their emotional resilience. That's another key factor for me. Teach them how to handle the pressures of the digital life that they're involved in, from peer pressure to cyberbullying. They need to have some skill sets now. They're new skill sets. It used to be how to cross the road, but nowadays it's not that. It's more online. And you can, if they're younger, if you want to, you can consider role playing with them, different scenarios at home. What would you do if they encountered inappropriate behavior? What would you do? One of the main things always is come and talk to you. But we need to prepare them, so you need to be a little bit prepared. So don't get overwhelmed. Angie's got loads of fantastic videos around certain things to help you. I've got loads of stuff in the hub. Parven has got loads of stuff on Kids and Clicks. We're here to support you in all these areas. So that's the important part. We're going to head over, if you want to the full transcript to read all the things that we've written about Oculus and Horizon Worlds. I don't want to take up too much time here on the podcast, but if you're interested in it, look at the transcript and look at the show notes, because there will be the whole kind of transparency to give you in a simple way, because I'm quite simple-minded. I like it practical and simple, but it'll all be there about the risks and how to handle Oculus and how to handle Horizon Worlds safely. I'm not being a killjoy. I just want everyone to be clear on that. There are fascinating times ahead with the metaverse, but don't put your head in the sand. Stay curious, stay informed, and make sure to keep your kids safe as they explore this evolving digital world. Do you want to say anything else?
Another thing to keep in mind, I work a lot with privacy experts, and I also do a lot of videos and a lot of content about privacy. And obviously the sentence is, oh, they have all your data anyway. It really is another level if you're talking about social media companies in general, but Meta has been doing it the longest, right?
Yes.
So it's just really important to put in the privacy settings, explain again the location, interactions, preferences. They collect information, they put it together with other things that you're doing. And this is used not only for ads, but obviously to be able to influence what you do online. And so it's just really important to keep in mind. This same mother that I was talking about before, she was telling me that she was teaching her kids about what she should do. And she heard her daughter say to someone, why do you need to know that?
Oh, right. Yeah.
That's the
Yeah.
best thing. Another
Yeah.
tip I can give, in the metaverse,
Yeah.
basically anywhere, but in the metaverse, it's obviously another level. Just teach anyone, if someone asks you something, why do you need to know that?
That's brilliant. Make a poster of that somewhere. Why do you need to know that?
Exactly.
Because it just
Yeah.
gets you thinking back, because you get so immersed in the moment. That's a great tip, isn't it? Some two really simple, good tips there, Angie.
And also apps, you can ask that basically on anything. Why do you need to know that?
Yeah.
Why do you need access to my camera? Why do you need access to my microphone, for example? Obviously, in the metaverse, you need access to the microphone at
Yeah.
least. But, these kind of things, always ask, why do you need to know that, is basically one of the more important things that you can teach your kids when they're online.
And Parven, what do you think?
I think one of the biggest challenge would be age restriction and underage access. Many of these platforms that they have age limit of typically 13 and above, but children will find ways to bypass this sort of age restriction. So you need to enforce these rules at home and also spend some time exploring the platforms that is safe for children to actually use. And then the next thing I would say is privacy concerns, because these platforms, they do collect vast amount of data and also physiological information like your movement tracking. So limit your data sharing when you're using platforms like this, and educate your children on the importance of protecting personal information. And finally would be inappropriate content and also cyberbullying, because these kind of virtual reality, they make social interaction feels very real. So exposure to inappropriate content can have a significant emotional impact on children. I would say always encourage open communication about your child's experiences and teach them how to block or report harmful behavior.
I'd like to tell you a bit more about my new book. As a parent myself, I know firsthand how overwhelming it can feel to keep up with the digital world our kids are growing up in. That's why I wrote Navigating the Digital Jungle Essential Scripts for starting meaningful conversations with toddlers, tweens, and teens about smartphones or social media, AI, cyber safety, and much, much more. My book is bursting with ready-to-use conversation starters that make it easier to guide your kids through everything from screen time and social media to the tricky terrain of online safety and artificial intelligence. It's like having a roadmap for those critical and important chats every parent needs to have. My book of Digital Jungle Script is all about giving you the tools to start those difficult but important conversations, no matter your child's age. Easy, practical scripts to help you feel confident and connected. So, if you're ready to feel more self-confident around discussing Roblox, Snapchat or WhatsApp, grab your copy of Navigating the Digital Jungle Essential Scripts and start transforming those tough tech talks into meaningful family moments. And let's get those conversations started at navigatingthedigitaljungle.com/resources. And now it's time for our segment on family change. My suggestion for this week is to have weekly tech talks. Pick one evening each week to discuss new tech topics as a family. And this could be about the metaverse or about virtual reality games or online interactions. As a coach, I'm always mindful of if you do something regularly and you put it in, it becomes a habit. So whatever day you choose or whatever evening you choose to chinwag and chat with your kids, have a weekly tech talk. I think that's a new habit that's come in over the last few years for me when I'm coaching parents. And let your kids bring up things that they've learnt or they've experienced and encourage everyone to share opinions. This is not banging on about the negatives all the time. This is about just promoting awareness of digital risks as well as digital benefits. And it's a conversation that modern families could do with having now. So just chat tech and see how things are going.
A part of the tech talk can also be just explaining your generation compared to their generation, how that's very different, just to help you understand each other, right? Because the younger generations can benefit from at least hearing the stories about what it was like when there was no
Back in the day.
digital world. It's important, but also for you, I mean, to hear their perspective. I was just listening to a podcast the other day. There was someone who was like 22, and she just repeated something I've heard before. It's that for the younger generations, the online world is not less than the offline world. It's just a part of their world, right? And to understand
Absolutely.
that really helps you to hear that directly from the person can make a big difference in building that trust
Yeah.
between yourselves and building that bridge and really understanding their perspective.
Yeah, because it's not one or the other. It is what it is. It is now online as well as offline. But as long as it's kind of balanced and you're kind of aware of it, I think that's the thing that I'm trying to raise awareness of is just think about what you're up to and how you do it with your kids, really.
Listener questions.
So that leads us into listeners' questions. Lots of people send in lots of things. We love to receive these questions. So a common concern is how to manage a child's use of Meta's platforms like Oculus. So when you or your kids wear an Oculus headset, it covers your eyes and your ears, transporting you to a fully immersive virtual environment. So the controllers in your hands allow you to interact with this world. So whether you're throwing a basketball, picking up objects, or navigating through a game. And Oculus, of course, is popular with kids because it offers an incredibly engaging and interactive experience. So unlike traditional video games played on a screen, Oculus makes you feel like you're actually inside the game. So whether it's flying through space, exploring a fantasy world, or even practicing sports, the possibilities feel endless. And that's incredibly exciting for young users. So the question that was sent in today is, "Hi Sue, my 14-year-old loves using Oculus, but I'm worried about the types of games and the content he might come across. How can I ensure he's only accessing age-appropriate material? Thanks, Claire from Shetland."
I think firstly is age restriction. Oculus is generally recommended for users age 13 above. Younger children may struggle with the immersive nature of VR, so it's crucial to ensure they're using platforms designed for their age group. The second thing is motion sickness and physical effects, so keep sessions short to avoid dizziness and discomfort and encourage breaks during gameplay. I've experienced this myself when I used the Oculus the first time. It feels quite heavy on the forehead, but you do get used to it after a while, but you can't stay on it for a very long time because the motion sickness do kick in. Next thing, limit who can interact with your child and what data is being shared. So, for example, my first Oculus was during the COVID lockdown, where I was spending a lot of time by myself at home. And I started interacting with someone, a random person, I think based in China, whom I was playing table tennis with quite regularly on a daily basis. I don't know who this person is. It was strictly just playing table tennis. But look, things like this can easily escalate to something else. You know, if he knew I was a child, maybe things would have been different. Maybe not. I don't know. It depends who you're interacting with. But the point is, when using the Oculus, it's very easy to start communicating with other people depending on the apps that you actually sign up for.
Angeline, tell us about how to set up Oculus safely.
Obviously, I'm big on safety, so it's really important to take all steps necessary. Here's a few that you can generally follow. If you have a family account, you can control much better about what they're doing. You just monitor the apps in the games. Set boundaries, obviously rules about what kind of games. And you can also read about the games together.
That's a good idea.
If there's content in the games that your child is not ready to speak to you about, they're probably not ready for the game.
That's great. Yeah, that's brilliant.
Because they should be able to speak to their parents about it.
They should.
This would be a nice way to say, okay, if you're ready to talk to me about it, then we're ready to play a game about it. So this would be just kind of a nice way to set boundaries. And that obviously is a part of it, exploring it together. Because if they say, can I play this game? And we say, okay, let's have a look together. Let's read about it. Let's test it together. I think they'll not always like it, but they'll respect that you're trying to keep them safe. And again, there's also the parental controls that you can put into place and use. Another thing I wanted to really point out is, especially if it's game with other players, obviously it's VR, so it's not a chat. So anytime there's other players, there's a very good risk that they're going to encounter a person that is not looking out for their best. So this is really something to discuss and really very carefully embark on in terms of age. And as I said before, really stay in the same room with them. They need,
Yes.
especially from
Yeah.
as long as possible in terms of age,
Yeah.
just be in the same room so you can hear
Yeah.
if something happens that doesn't quite sit right.
Mm. Well, rounding this all sort of up for me is Oculus can be really a fantastic tool for learning if you want it to be, and of course for entertainment, but it needs to be used responsibly. So by understanding how it works, setting some clear boundaries, and staying involved in your child's virtual experiences, you can ensure that they enjoy the benefits of VR while staying safe. So it represents a new digital frontier full of possibilities, but it's our responsibility as parents to guide our children safely through it. So by staying informed, as I say, please set those boundaries, prepare your kids with the tools they need, have these conversations. You'll all enjoy the metaverse while staying safe.
Now for some top tips.
So mine are quite simple. Balance VR with real life. Set daily VR time limits and make space for non-screen activities. Suggest breaks every 30 or 45 minutes to prevent eye strain and balance virtual experiences with real life activities. Angie, what's your quick tip this week?
Mine is around age limits, where I did mention before, and you mentioned as well, that the platforms are often 13 plus, but it's not a one size fits all. It isn't.
Yeah.
And this is something, if there's a minimum age restriction, you should stick to it. But that doesn't mean that the child is ready. And I know this could cause a lot of trouble and strife between parents and kids.
Strife. Good word.
Yeah, but still, it's really important that age restrictions are set,
Yes.
not always in the best interest of the user. And so this is really something to keep in mind when you're doing the exploration we discussed before, to see, okay, this is the age limit, but is this something that we as a family are ready for?
Yeah, you said something really important there. And I think that's the mindset you have to have. Is this in our best interest? Because, you know, the algorithms and Meta and Mark Zuckerberg and all these big tech people don't have our best interest at heart. They have theirs. And I think that is a really important shift in our thinking. Parven, what's your tips for today?
One tip I always recommend is staying involved. Explore family-friendly VR apps or games with your kids. This helps you understand what they're engaging with and opens up conversation about their virtual experiences. Another idea is screen time swaps. So for every hour they spend in VR, encourage an hour doing something offline, like a walk, a board game, or even crafting. It's all about balance.
So email us with your family plans and how you get on all the time. We're so keen to listen to you and hear from you. It's info@navigatingthedigitalJungle.com. Now this leads me into my script of the week. This is a new feature, quick scripts to start important conversations. So here we go with the script of the week this week. Hey, child's name. I know you're interested in exploring the metaverse. It's a really cool place, but I want to make sure you're staying safe while you're in there. Can we go over a few things together? Right, first, let's set some ground rules. There is a lot of people in the metaverse, just like real life. And if you ever feel uncomfortable or see something that doesn't seem right, remember it's okay to leave and to let me know. because we'll also set some privacy settings to keep your info private, and we'll do it together. I'd like us to check out about what you're doing in there. Just so I'd like to ask you some questions during the day about school. You know, I do that. So I'm going to ask you about your VR activities and what you're up to. It doesn't take over our lives then. Does that sound fair? Great. The goal is for you to have fun and be safe. And if you ever want to talk about it or run into anything unusual, just let me know. We're in it together. And it's that kind of conversational script that I hope helps you open up positive dialogue about the metaverse, about privacy, and about online safety. And for more scripts, go to Navigating the Digital Jungle Hub, where there's loads of my resources that I've written for you. So, where can listeners find out more about you, Angeline, and Data Girl and Friends?
Well, there's the webpage datagirlandfriends.com. There's a slash between all of those words, so data slash.
Or a hyphen if you're from England.
A dash, whatever you want. Also, I'm working on a conference, Shield Global Online Safety Conference, and you can find information there on the shieldthefuture.com. So those are places to find out what's going on.
Lovely. And where can people find out more about you, Parven, with Kids and Clicks?
Keep yourself up to date with what's going on in your child's digital world by following me on Instagram at Kids and Clicks. That is KIDS, the letter N, CLICKS. Or you can follow me on TikTok at Parven Kaur. Or finally, you can check out kidsandclicks.com and subscribe to my newsletter to keep yourself updated in the latest online safety trends.
And before we go today, I wondered if you're ready to make 2025 the year of balance, connection, and well-being. So I want you to join me for this simple and achievable challenge that I'm setting you, designed to help your family find harmony with smartphones and social media. Because I believe small steps will make a big difference in your family's happiness and their health. So it is a long hashtag, but who cares? It's hashtag Sue Atkins Digital Jungle 2025 Challenge. Your guide to creating a healthier, happier relationship with technology in your family in today's fast-paced, screen-dominated world. I know it's easy to get overwhelmed by smartphones and social media and all those digital distractions that just sort of creep into our everyday lives. But here's the good news. The small intentional changes can lead to big results. This challenge isn't about perfection, it's about progress. And so together, we're going to explore simple, actionable steps that you as parents and children and teens can all take to bring balance, connection and well-being back into focus for 2025. So if you're ready to join the movement and make a difference, let's navigate the digital jungle together. Go to my website and look up the blog that says Small Changes, Big Difference, Sue Atkins Digital Jungle 2025 Challenge. There's loads of very simple things there that can challenge your family. Something simple even like 20 minutes each day for a family activity together, like eating together or reading or walking or playing a board game. It's a 20-minute digital detox, really, but you don't have to call it that. You can just think about what you can do to make that happen. So there's loads of those. Go and check it out because I think we're all in it together to make a small change in our lives that will make a big difference.
Navigating the Digital Jungle with Sue Atkins and Friends.
Thank you for tuning in to Navigating the Digital Jungle with Sue Atkins and Friends. We hope you find our discussions insightful and empowering as you navigate the challenges of the digital world. And that's it for today's episode. Remember to subscribe, leave us a review, and tune in next time when we continue our journey through the digital jungle. You can listen to us across all platforms, or you can go to navigatingthedigitalJungle.com. That's where you'll find all the show notes, links to everything that we've talked about in this episode and all the other episodes, and that's where you'll find us on social media too. So until next time, stay curious, stay informed, and keep navigating the digital jungle with us.
Yeah, jungle out there.
time for a word from our sponsor.
I'd like to tell you a bit about this episode's sponsor, ICT in Education Teacher Academy. Are you an early childhood educator looking to confidently integrate technology into your teaching? Join the ICT in Education Teacher Academy, where they support educators like you with step-by-step guidance, hands-on examples, and a community of peers to help you succeed. Their online workshops and resources are built to fit into your schedule, so you can learn anytime, anywhere. Start empowering your students through tech today. Visit ictesolutions.com.au to learn more and sign up. That's www.ictesolutions.com.au.